fire, 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 fire. Let's see it. What's going on with the U.S. government? The U.S. government doesn't like a lot of things, but I would want to know, why do they hate Genshin Impact? Valid reason to hate.
On January 17th, 2025, the Federal Trade Commission posted a press release on its website saying that due to their referral, the Department of Justice of the United States had gone after Genshin Impact's developer. The lawsuit title is crazy in itself. The United States versus Cognosphere, the parent company of Genshin Impact. I never thought I'd see that sentence in my life. They allege that Genshin Impact has deceived children, teens, and other players into spending hundreds of dollars on prizes they stood little chance of winning.
Yeah, but CSGO does that. I mean, as for giving Vienna the God card, love you, bye. Oh, you are so kind. Thank you so much. You genuinely don't have to go. You guys, you don't have to do that. I would have done it. I would do it because I just want to be nice, okay? You don't have to do this.
As well as having a blatant disrespect towards children's privacy rights, and that's barely scraping the surface, guys. Look, this came out of nowhere. It caught everyone by surprise. But it turns out that the FTC has been working on this investigation for years now, as early as 2022. What was even more shocking to many is that instead of countersuing, Genshin Impact's developer didn't. They ended up settling, paying over $20 million and having to change.
$20 million is pocket change, though. For companies like that, yeah.
Multiple aspects of their monetization in-game. Additionally, every single news outlet at this point has talked about this, okay? This game is such a phenomenon that yes, whenever something like this happens, it does impact the game industry as a whole. The lawsuit itself that was filed by the FTC contains a lot of interesting little surprises, like how some characters are mentioned by name or how SS Sniper Wolf makes a fucking appearance.
What the hell? Does she play Genshin?
The community reaction, though, resulted in an implosion of people completely fighting each other on different opinions. The impact that this lawsuit has had has already been huge, but it stands to be even bigger in the future, so we have to talk about it. Let's do this. If you weren't born yesterday and have played video games for like the last 10 years at least, you know the term microtransactions.
Do you guys remember when you just like play a game and not think about like DLC or like you just play the game? You'd buy a single player game and you wouldn't have to play DLC. Even Sims, for me, when I was a kid and I actually had to ask my parents to buy like the DLC, they thought it was ridiculous. I never got the DLC, that's why I started pirating, because buying all the DLC would cost too much money. Back in my day.
And loot boxes, you couldn't have avoided them, even if you wanted to. The term loot box has gotten so big that you can find it on the website of the UK Parliament, or on an Australian government website. There's a lot of controversy surrounding these game mechanics because for many, they are very similar to what you'd find in a casino, except this is marketed to all ages. Concern kept growing as parents started to notice that the games their children were playing had a lot of gambling mechanics incorporated into them. This all somewhat culminated into the very infamous moment in which the UK brought forth some gaming executives and questioned them about their loot box mechanics with this.
They also did this in Belgium, if I remember correctly. Belgian W.
EA executive saying that they're not loot boxes, they're just surprise mechanics.
I bet you $100 one of their lawyers actually said this out loud. They're like, okay, so when they start asking you questions about loot boxes, you should tell them surprise mechanics is a thing. That's so clever. I don't even know what to say. I would have never thought of it like that. Yeah, they're just mechanics in the video game. And it's a surprise. Surprise mechanics.
Well, first, we don't call them loot boxes. I think that was...
Whatever term you wish to apply to them, do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics.
You know...
Yeah, surprise, you're poor, bitch.
What's funny to me is that these online casinos, right? They don't call themselves casinos. They call themselves gaming providers, right?
What?
Like, oh my God, hey, you make slot machines, right? No. I make games. I am a game developer. This sounds like the same exact mental gymnastics. This was back in 2019, and people thought that finally this gambling plague would leave their games alone, but
little did they know that COVID would make it 1,000,000 times worse. Genshin Impact popped the fuck off because of COVID. I remember it came out like in, I don't know, 2020, maybe 2019, and then boom, COVID happened. Everybody was playing Genshin.
Unfortunately, nothing really happened. One of the most infamous companies in all this, of course, is EA Games. They make so much money from microtransactions. They call that extra content. In 2024, they made $4.4 billion from microtransactions, and half of it came from FIFA's Ultimate Team mode.
I still to this day do not understand why people buy like new FIFAs every year and then they have to like re-roll and get their new members again every single time. Like there's no rollover, there's no like, yeah, I'm gonna get to keep my Cristiano Ronaldo for like 2025 from 2024. I will never understand it. It's addiction. I mean, I guess, but like I just don't get it. I'd be so pissed if like I spent like $1,000 and then like it just evaporates in front of my face because nobody's playing EA FIFA 2024 and now the new thing comes out, it's 2025 and I have to start from scratch. That would instantly piss me off, but these people are so addicted that they don't care.
Sorry, EA FC 24 because they lost the FIFA trademark. The premise is simple. You build your own team to play against players, but the way you get the best players...
No, I didn't get Cristiano Ronaldo the GOAT! I didn't get Messi! Oh, look at his face. He's like...
Players. But the way you get the best players is by opening packs and relying fully on luck to get the ones that you want. In 2020, the Dutch court ruled that EA Games has 1 week to make changes to how this mechanic works, otherwise...
Can someone find the clip of the kid thinking that he's gonna get a really good role for his EA FIFA, like, Gamba? And then he gets, like, some shit, and then he, like, goes, like... Oh. Can someone find that? Like, please. I remember seeing this on stream, and it was so funny.
They would fine them 500,000 euros a week, up to 10 million euros until they do. Many people saw this as a victory, but EA said, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to appeal. And 2 years later, that fine got canceled. Nothing's really changed in that regard. Look, one thing was for certain by that point, loot boxes were becoming more and more taboo. As companies became increasingly fearful of costly regulation, they started looking at other monetization mechanics and found inspiration in Fortnite's item shop. You'd get a bunch of rare items, you could buy them for points, and if you didn't...
I am guilty of this. I actually bought the Hatsune set because even though I don't play Fortnite, I actually really like the little mini game.
Buy them, then they disappeared, and you would never know if you could get them again. Fortnite found huge profitability with this business model as well as their battle pass, and other companies found success with this business model too. Not all of them though, okay? Not all of them. However, on the other side of the planet, you still had many game companies using a monetization system similar to loot boxes, and it was getting very profitable. They were called gacha games.
Fate Zero is notoriously bad. Oh my goodness. You think Genshin's bad? Fate Zero, the Japanese like loot box gacha, is insane. Found the clip? Yeah, Grand Order. Grand Order. Found it? Yeah, you're getting banned. That's a week-long ban. Fuck you.
There are so many gacha games out there, most of them on mobile, and many of them not even being able to survive for more than a few years before being, well, deleted. You'll always find new releases, and you'll always hear news of old games shutting down. But where the hell did they come from?
Yeah, and then they shut down and restart the scam. This motherfucker, I said, fucking find me the thing. Look at this clever little guy. Man, fuck you. Find the clip! You're my little slave!
Well, it's from where all the other good things come from too. Japan. It originated from the term gachapon, which are these machines here. Let's take the example of this car gachapon machine where you put 300 yen and you're hoping to get your favorite car out of these 5 different cars. The idea here is that you're gambling, but you're gambling on preference, not on money. After putting your money in this machine, you're receiving a car, whether you like it or not. It's just that you might not be getting the one that you want. And that's exactly how gacha games work as well. Wikipedia takes this even further and says that games such as Magic the Gathering are actually a type of gacha. This would make
yeah, they are, absolutely. Yep, I would totally believe this. Rios, that's class. Yes, this is the clip. Thank you. Fuck you for pranking me again, by the way. This is the one.
Come on. Look again. Let's go. German. Royce. Oh, let's go! That's class!
Let's go! So good. Oh, I love it. They get so dopamine addicted, man. I feel so bad. I mean, they kind of do it to themselves. Again, I totally agree. I think card games are a type of gacha. They're not as egregious as gachas that are like Genshin Impact or like Fate Grand Order, whatever.
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all those games gacha as well, even though no one really refers to them that way. Now when you hear gacha, you're thinking of a game, free to play, most likely on mobile, that's either from China, Korea, or Japan. And this is where Genshin Impact came in on September 28th, 2020. Gacha before Genshin was very niche. It was also mostly on mobile. Genshin changed that by not only making it available on PC, but on PS4
This was huge.
as well. More importantly, it was appealing to the mainstream audience and not to a niche audience. So if you liked open world games, it was enough for you to try Genshin. But the thing is, I don't think people quite understand just how much money Genshin
oh my god, cat girl.
makes. Half of its revenue comes from its home country, China. But it's estimated that by 2025, it'll be on track to hit $10 billion in total since release.
Remember that $20 million fine, by the way? Did I not say that that was pennies in a bucket?
Some of you watching might be thinking, oh, wait a second, that's not really a lot of money. Well, I don't really blame you. The government throws $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion like it's $5 in your pocket from time to time, right? So here's a fun little comparison. Ever since Grand Theft Auto 5 released, if you include all their copies sold and all the revenue generated from GTA Online, they've made $8.5 billion.
12-year-old game, by the way. Yes, I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, when did it come out even? I feel like it's been 10 years. That's insane!
$5 billion. Do you understand?
What?
Like, are we on the same page? Genshin Impact in 5 years has made more than Grand Theft Auto 5 in over a decade. That's how profitable gacha can be for the top companies.
So good,
for the first 6 months of 2024, Genshin Impact stayed their top earner, with Honkai Star Rail, another game of theirs, being very close second. So it shows that even though gacha games have low life expectancy, Genshin was still holding on quite well.
You know what I will never understand is the people that vehemently say that Genshin sucks and that Honkai Star Rail or Honkai Impact 3rd is like this amazing like answer to Genshin, but it's owned by the same company. Like what are we really doing here? Like they're both made by the same company. How could they be better? Or one of them is better than the other?
Genshin was still holding on quite well. The Federal Trade Commission, of course, will keep track of these things. They're constantly looking at the top earners in app stores, whether it be Apple's or Google's. And their goal as an organization is to stand up for the American consumer when they're not being bribed, of course. The first thing you see on their website is COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, and they
COPPA.
were going to use this as a basis to actually file a complaint against Genshin Impact's developer. Which brings us here. United States of America versus Cognosphere. Now, you might be wondering, why Cognosphere? Why not Hoyoverse? That's the game's company. No? Well, it's complicated. Domestically in China, they're still known as MiHoYo. Globally, for partnerships, they're Hoyoverse. But the parent company that oversees finances and transactions is Cognosphere, based in Singapore, just like Hoyoverse. But for sake of clarity, I'll just say Hoyoverse from now on. This case is split into two major parts. The first part focusing on the Children's Privacy Protection Act, and the second part focusing on the monetization mechanics used by Genshin Impact. But the thing they start off with, and I find this really funny, they try to explain why Genshin is directed to children under 13, right? They make it a point. Look at this. They argue that Paimon, right, your companion throughout the whole game, and the mascot of the game in the App Store is directed towards children.
So if I open up a casino and I make like the front cover Dora the Explorer, that means that I'm allowed to advertise casinos to children. This sounds like a good business proposition.
Some people will definitely agree with this, some others won't. But I can tell you right now, a lot of adults find Paimon annoying, so maybe they're onto something here. I don't know.
True, Paimon is fucking annoying.
I'm not so sure here, but I just find it so funny. But this for me is where it gets hilarious, okay? They show you an ad where it says Cute Force, where you see 3 characters you can play in the game: Diona, Chi-Chi, and Klee. This to them is similar to children's art, and that these promotional materials are appealing to children because they emphasize the childlike qualities of these heroes. Look, bro, I don't know who's got to tell him, but in the
average Genshin player? Yes. Correct. What hag wrote that? I bet a hag in the government did.
gacha sphere, this ad would appeal more to certain adults.
I'm a Klee main! Look at me!
Than children. Okay. But that's all I'll say on the matter, okay? Let's keep going. They allege that Hoyoverse intentionally hired influencers that have an audience of children to advertise the game to. For example, many of these paid influencers won or were finalists for categories related to gaming and online media at the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards. Some of them were big content creators for Minecraft or Roblox. And they also allege that some internal planning documents used by Hoyoverse made note of whether hired influencers were known for producing Minecraft or Roblox-related content.
How does that make any sense? So you're allowed to based on what? This makes no sense.
To strengthen this argument, they mention a hide-and-seek minigame that happens once a year in Genshin Impact by the name of Windtrace, and how they hired an influencer by the name of It's Funny to play it on their YouTube channel.
I don't know how this is relevant to being allowed to... My brain can't even comprehend this. I can't even put this into words. I'm failing to like see the argument here from a law perspective. Targeting kids is bad. That's their whole case. But like this is the reasoning. Like it's not bad because they market to kids.
You know what? I mean, this does look like Cocomelon, but in Roblox. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the same kind of thumbnail.
True.
It does look like a kids channel. But it's important to note here that there was nothing mentioning any of the gacha mechanics, right? It was just a bunch of friends playing together like you would watch C-nanners playing prop hunt, right? Are you guys old enough to understand this reference?
Oh my god, that is
God,
so
I hope so.
old. Holy
but these
shit.
things were enough for the FTC to determine that Genshin Impact is directed to children within the meaning of the COPPA rule. Their biggest issue relating to COPPA was Hoyoverse collecting personal information from children without obtaining parental consent. They outline how here. It's through their social network. So if you didn't know, Hoyoverse has a social network called Hoyolab where you can share things from all their different games, find resources, and also do a daily check-in that gives you rewards. The FTC argues that in many instances, Hoyoverse has become aware that Hoyolab users are children. Some users have stated or indicated in communications reviewed by Hoyoverse that they were under 13 years old, for example, in social media postings on Hoyolab or in posted photographs, videos, or audio files containing the child's image or voice from which it was apparent that the user was a child.
That's not good. Yeah. You have to have very, very good reason to store that kind of information. Yeah, you can't just do that.
Hoyoverse has in some instances taken limited and insufficient corrective steps when it has discovered a post by a child, such as removing the post in question and muting the user from posting on the Hoyolab social network, but without deleting or seeking verifiable parental consent for the use or disclosure of other personal information of the child already collected.
I'm pretty sure when you signed up for Neopets, if you're like under 13, you had to like get your parents to ask them to like verify or something. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Yeah. I think that's just how it's supposed to be. There has to be something like that. Otherwise, it's technically illegal. Again, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but still.
So this is how they argue that
Kinda
despite
weird.
them knowing that they had children on their website, they took no steps and therefore collected their personal information with no issues on their end.
This makes you wonder how many kids sign up for Nikkei. The thing that's really, really messed up about all these gachas and things on the App Store is that it's all like rated teen. Google Play Store Nikkei. Goddess of Victory Nikkei. What's the rating on this? T for teen. Chat. We have seen Nikkei like I'm not making this shit up. Look at this shit. Look. Goddess of Nikkei, rated T for teen. Like, they shake their butts and shit at the camera. Go to the screenshots. I'm afraid I'll get banned.
And you know what? The FTC is not wrong at all here. It took me less than 5 minutes to find
It's
a
so
minor posting their
bad.
cosplay on Hoyolab. I'm not going to show the post itself or the person's username, but all you got to know is it says from a minor, okay? It's in the title and it has over
Whoa.
400 likes, which is viral for Hoyolab. Now, don't get this twisted. It doesn't mean that minors shouldn't be having fun cosplaying their favorite characters, but the entire point of COPPA is for them to have protection while doing it. And if Hoyoverse doesn't acknowledge that they're on their platform, then what's stopping someone from following them, interacting with them, and maybe even messaging them harmful things? Nothing. There are no
There were so many predators on Neopets. Low-key. Yeah, there was a lot of predators on Neopets. And on, freaking, what was that game called? Toontown, Club Penguin. Anything that's for kids, there was predators on there. Weirdos, yeah. Wizards 101, yeah, Gaia. I didn't play Gaia, but I knew about it. It's crazy. They have to take steps against it, obviously. You want children to get hurt.
protections in place. The
Now they're on VR chat. Yeah, you're completely right. VR chat, yes.
FTC then reveals that the investigation into Genshin Impact has been going on for a while, and when Hoyoverse actually became aware of it,
That there are porn games on Steam. Yeah, but Steam makes you like, you know, verify your age and stuff, and also you can't download games if you're under 18 for those games. Like, what are we talking about? Are we really comparing it to the Google Play Store where you can download Nikkei without any age verification? Steam doesn't show them if your account age is under 18. Yeah, you can literally not see them. You have to verify.
in December 2022, they sneakily changed a little section in their privacy policy, saying our services...
Kids nowadays know how to bypass these things. Chat, when has that ever stopped you when you were under 18 to like to basically say, yeah, I'm over 18? I'm just saying there's steps to this where you should be able to have a company at least make a sort of like a effort into it. I love your model. Are you a dog? Merryweather, I am not a doggo. I'm a foxo. Hi, Mary. Yeah, we're talking Genshin Impact, this guy comes in and asks me if I'm a dog. Ah. What's the difference? Alright, mods, can we ban this guy? Can we ban this guy? What the frick? Foxes are dog software and cat hardware. No. Let's not stop deviating from the fact that we're talking about Genshin Impact preying on children, okay? Don't be influenced by this propaganda. Don't listen to them. Deflecting? Okay, man. Do you want to get banned too? I'll ban both of you.
are not marketed to or intended for children. But for the FTC, that means nothing because, in their opinion, Hoyoverse has not sought to collect parental consent at any point in time. And then this is where things get...
Listen, lady, it's my God-given right as an American to exploit children for profit. Hold on. Hold on. I thought you were from England or from Europe. You can't do that! I was about to say! I remember your accent. You don't sound like an American. You little liar. Get out of here. Get him out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I'm here to exploit the children for money. It's my job.
Get interesting. We're talking about monetization, but not just in regards to children, but also in regards to something the FTC calls dark patterns. In this case, the FTC says that Hoyoverse used confusing systems of virtual currency exchanged for loot boxes and deceived people about the low odds of desirable prizes to trick players into spending much more than they meant, making it a dark pattern.
I remember Maple Story did this too. They lied about the probability for one of the really rare items, and some guy spent money to prove them wrong. We watched another video about that too. Americans are just Europeans who were fine staying on a steamboat for 6 months. We need to have another revolution. Who's with me, man? Look at these look at this guy coming into my stream and trying to like Europeanize it. Europeanize it? He's not wrong. All right, I have to start banning my own mods or something. You're supposed to defend me. Yeah. Europe's better? Let's go beat him up. Again.
So in Genshin Impact, in order to pull for a limited 5-star character, you need a currency called Intertwined Fates. One fate means one pull.
Oh my
to get
God.
fates, you need to buy them with Primogems.
Yeah.
One fate equals 160 Primogems. You can earn Primogems in-game, but if you want to spend money, you buy Genesis Crystals. You can then use the Genesis Crystals to convert them to Primogems to then use the Primogems to buy the fates. But when you...
This is another thing that I hate about gachas. You ever look at a system and it's not easy to understand until you get into it? The more currencies they have in a video game, the more convoluted and the more reason it is to not play the game. You can't just buy a pull. You have to do all this intricate shit. Yeah. That's the point, you get confused and spend more. Yes, that's the whole point. It's like a psychological thing. It's very clever. You don't realize it until it's already too late. So fucked up.
You buy the Genesis Crystals, you're not told how much they equal in terms of pulls. You have to do math. You have to, unfortunately, use your brain, take out the calculator, and calculate how much does this mean. If I spend...
And you think kids are gonna do that? They just want their waifu. Yeah.
$100, how many pulls do I realistically get? You don't have a straightforward answer in game, and this is why the FTC is alleging that this is a dark pattern strategy. Additionally, they say that on banners you see the words probability increased. You also see things like huge drop rate boost on marketing material, which is another dark pattern because it's deceiving. There's no drop rate boost. It's the same thing on every banner, except this one's limited for 20 days. This leads us to the next part.
That is very deceptive. Like, to me personally, I would have thought it makes you... What is it called? It makes you more likely to be able to pull. You know what? I agree with you, Lana. Children shouldn't be playing Genshin Impact. They should be working in the mines and factories, growing our economy. They should not have time for that kind of tomfoolery. Spoken like a true British person, by the way. I learned about the Victorian times and child labor. Squeezing people into squeezing 9 people into one house. Yeah. Okay, you're truly British. Go get some tea. Boil it in a kettle. It was a beautiful time. I bet you were alive then too.
in which the FTC says that Hoyoverse had hired influencers specifically to show off these gambling mechanics to make them fun for children. This is when I would encounter a name I never thought I'd see in 2025.
Sniper Wolf? The original reactor? Oh, what?
Which is SS Sniper Wolf.
What?
The FTC says that in May 2021, Hoyoverse hired her and paid her more than $100,000 to record 2 videos promoting Genshin Impact.
What? 100 grand? I mean, 100 grand is like nothing to them when they make like $1 billion a year, right? Well, actually, they make more than $1 billion. Oh my god, dude. If you got a Genshin sponsorship, if you had 1 million subscribers, that was like, I don't know, probably like 20 grand. That's crazy work.
Building upon their narrative that this is a 2-time winner of the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards in the favored gamer category. So her audience has a lot of kids watching. I mean, now here's where it gets really tricky. She was pulling for characters, right? Typically, if you do a 10 pull, you'll always see a purple light if you don't win a 5-star because you're guaranteed to get a 4-star every 10 pulls. If you were to pull for a 5-star, you see a golden light. This is how you know that, oh my god, I just got a 5-star. In Sniper Wolf's video, it's purple, okay? This means that it's a 4-star. There is no, it's impossible that a 5-star is in there. And yet, guys, I'm telling you, you will not believe what happens when she gets to the final pull, okay? First off, remember, we pulled 10 wishes, okay? You cannot pull more than 10. You cannot pull less except for 1 at a time, right? And yet, all of a sudden you see 11 and then 12. And oh, look, this is a 5-star in a purple pull. Wow.
That's deceptive marketing. They couldn't even lie. They couldn't even fake it. That's lazy AF. At least if you're gonna lie to kids, make it believable, bro. By the way, really bad marketing move as well to top it off. Most of the people playing Genshin Impact probably that watch YouTube videos aren't kids. They're adults. You think they're not gonna notice this shit?
Wow, who would have ever thought, dude?
This is fricked up.
Wow, your RNG is really good, dude. It's so good that it defied game mechanics and is as crazy as someone getting a rare in a CSGO case and it turning out to be a skin worth 2 cents. You know, this is how crazy this is, just so you understand. The FTC alleges here that Hoyoverse are complicit because they got to review this video before it was published since they were paying her to do it, and they still approved this. You cannot wish for more than 10 times at the same time, and yet here you saw 12, okay, that was already misleading, and you see a 5-star character appear when the highest one was supposed to be 4 stars.
She couldn't even fake it properly, and they still let it through because they're like, whatever.
Their dark pattern. Look, part of the reason why many Genshin fans were shocked to find this lawsuit was because when it comes to their gacha mechanics, Genshin are very honest with their odds. You have this massive array of paragraphs that tell you exactly what to expect when you—
Yeah, but nobody's gonna read that shit. Like, actually, I launched Genshin Impact and I played it for a few hours. I've never once been like, I would love to see the text for this.
And the probability. I saw many people arguing this, saying, dude, who doesn't read this? Like, you have to be an idiot to not read the odds. And yet, the FTC is alleging that these odds are misleading. Look,
I took statistics 101, 111, and 116 and 112. Or no, was it 216? I can't remember. It was a while ago. I'm telling you with my own personal experience, most people don't actually understand what, like, a percentage is and what, like, a probability is. 0.6% is insanely low. It's so bad.
Are misleading. Look, when you get a 5-star character, you have a coin flip that plays in the background. If you win the coin flip, you get the character that you want, the limited character. If you lose it, you get a character that no one wants, someone from the standard pool. When Genshin Impact says that the base probability of winning a 5-star character is 0.6%, they're being misleading. So what the FTC says is that it should be 0.3%. A 3 and 1.
It's even worse. It's actually even worse. Oh my god, it's half of that. It's too high.
1,000 chance to get the character that's actually on the limited banner, which is what people are actually pulling for, right? Realistically, no one's pulling for their 6th Diluc or Chi-Chi, right?
Yeah.
All these things added up make up this case. The FTC believes that through Genshin Impact, Toyoverse has failed to protect children's data, has failed to get parental consent, has used dark patterns in its monetization mechanics, and that they have made a conscious effort targeting children in their marketing campaigns. Very shortly after, the community on Twitter caught wind of this, and, well, a lot of them had different things to say. PC Gamer published—
Wait, what does this guy say? Not to defend the multi-billion-dollar company, but aren't gacha mechanics explained in the game if you're allowing your kids to spend money in a gacha game? This is just bad parenting, I'm not sorry. Man, this is a take and a half. I'm sorry, but I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but like at the same time, there's kids who steal credit cards and like they go around bending the rules. It's not just about having kids, about targeting them and mishandling their data without parental approval. Yeah, and they also fucking lied. If I was like a gacha Andy and I realized that the odds of me pulling a character was not even 0.6, it was 0.3%, which is half of that, I would be pissed. I'd be like, you're lying to my face. Like, what?
Twitter caught wind of this, and, well, a lot of them had different things to say. PC Gamer published this article saying the FTC says Genshin Impact deceived children, teens, and other players into spending hundreds of dollars on prizes they stood little chance of winning. This then—
when you're a kid, you don't even understand. Even if you go by the logic of this guy saying, oh, you're a child, you should have read the gacha mechanics, you don't even get into probability and fractions until you're like, what, I don't know, like 13 years old? 14 years old, and even then you're not actually understanding the impact of rolling for those kinds of sets of dice. I don't think it's even a child issue of like reading. You don't get that as a kid.
Led into the biggest tweet of this entire shitstorm, which was made by Doro44, a well-renowned Genshin content creator. Here's what he said. Not to defend the multi-billion-dollar company, but aren't the gacha mechanics explained in game? If you're allowing your kids to spend your money in a gacha game, then that's just bad parenting, I'm not sorry. But I will say, implementing more protective measures so that kids don't go spending money they shouldn't isn't a bad thing. So obviously, as you can tell from the amount of comments, Doro received quite a bit of controversy. You know, people were very divided on this. And while
I understand where they're coming from, but there should be preventative measures. It's like back in the day when they'd sell like nudie mags and kids would find a way to get the nudie mags anyway because their dads or their older brothers or whatever would find or would buy them anyway, or they would pay some old guy to like go in the store and buy them for them. It's kind of like a double like issue, to be completely honest. I think it's a bad parenting issue, and it's also not regulated enough. It's just that when you don't have regulation, it impacts children more than bad parenting, and there is regulation.
Many also tended to agree with him.
I agree. I don't think the government is a good parent. I don't think they have to be good at parenting or have to step in to do good parenting or whatever. But it helps.
A lot of chaos. What I will say though is that PC Gamer knew exactly what they were doing here, okay? This title doesn't really sum up the entire case very well. There would have been way less chaos if they just said FTC sues Genshin Impact over Child Safety Protection Act. Like, that's completely different than what they're saying here. The damn
I don't think this is deceptive. I don't think this is a deceptive headline. Genshin Impact deceived children, teens, and other players into spending. I don't think so, because kids and teens are part of the player base, and what they are saying is a true statement. I don't know. That's rage bait? But that's what it is, though. It's not rage bait. It's just a title. I don't know. I know. I'm nitpicking. I don't think it's that important.
Damage was done, though. This tweet was the ground zero for what erupted on Twitter. This meme right here was being passed around a lot, right? Like, if someone felt that you were siding with Hoyoverse over the FTC, leave alone the multi-million-dollar company. Another content creator siding with Doro was Mr. Pokey, saying to people that are shitting on Doro, it's not a matter of whether the parents are aware that these are gacha games, but how the hell are your kids getting access to your credit cards?
I snuck This is an anecdotal story, okay? When I would go over the internet limit for my parents, like when I lived at my parents' house and I was a little kid, I would go over the internet bandwidth limit and I would call and lie, and I knew the password because I watched my parents input the password into the account, and I would go over the limit again because I wanted to play League and other video games because I was a bad kid. Again, it's not my parents' fault. They told me to not do that, but I did it. I'm just saying, it's bad behavior, but it's not, my parents weren't bad. My parents were bad parents. I was just a fucking asshole. I was a piece of shit. I literally went over the limit. My parents told me off. They said, you're gonna get grounded if you fucking try and undo the limit because it costs like an extra $50 or something, which was a lot, by the way. I'm a piece of shit. I'll completely acknowledge that. But I did it anyway because I wanted to, okay? Like, if my mom found out I swiped her card when I'm 12, I'd get beaten beyond recognition. Yeah, but like, what if you just don't get caught? What I do is I would set it up to $20, and then my parents would be like, did you put $20 over the bandwidth? And then my dad would be like, I don't remember, maybe. And then, like, you know what I'm saying? I was such a little rat. I'm just being honest here.
If my mom found out I swiped her credit card when I'm 12, I'd be beaten beyond recognition, implying that in this case, the consumer needs to face responsibility, not just the company, with Doro thanking him for sharing his same opinion. On the other hand, you had Braxophone, a well-known guide maker in the Genshin community, saying this to Doro's tweet: it's parents' job to parent kids, but there's no justifiable reason for gacha to exist in the first place other than to disguise gambling as a fun game.
And that's where I agree with it, and I have to say that Google Play Store has a teen rating on something that literally gambles. I just don't understand the argument saying like, oh, well, you don't have to download the game and spend gacha on it. It's like, but you're letting the kids. You're letting the kids on there. You're letting them play the game that has gambling in it.
We should not normalize gambling up to $300 every 3 weeks for game content, and especially not to children. Gacha is predatory. He then goes on to say that the only reason he plays gacha games is because they're the only live service games that are anime-based that are constantly updated. Bear in mind, this is someone who makes their entire living around gacha, and yet even he couldn't defend this monetization mechanic. Another opinion was not just from a content creator, but someone who has a child. Gacha Smack is a content creator that makes content on Hoyoverse games in general, and here's what he had to say. Here's my take. The average 35-plus parent in the world has no earthly clue what a gacha game even is. The games also hide their gacha in their descriptions.
That's also very true. Yeah.
They don't even disclose a single loot box in any of their advertising, nor do they mention the price points. The typical mom or dad is going to examine that it's a 12-plus-year-old rating game, examine the description as well as the cartoon visuals, and go, this seems fine.
Exactly.
This is deceptive and intentional by the companies because they know parents have no earthly clue about mobile gaming, because most parents don't play games period or understand the industry the way we do. The kid gets addicted and runs into the price points, and how that unfolds is absolutely due to a lack of supervision. Regardless, these companies need to disclose in their marketing and promotions that they are in fact gacha games that contain gambling elements, which falls on a lack of regulation from the government.
Thank you. Like, the most reasonable take, even from someone who's a parent. He's not like mad at people for being like, oh my god, bad parenting, I'm not a bad parent. He just says it how it is. W.
Parents would see the description and say, no shot, my kid is playing this, long overdue regulation needed. Now, someone did comment that the price points are actually there for the game. On the App Store, you can see how much all the bundles cost. But if we're going to be objective here, every single mobile game at this point has the same exact price points for packs, with the highest one always being $100. So it's not really enough for a parent to understand that there's gambling here. This had become a very heated topic for a while in between content creators and gacha game players. In the end though, Hoyoverse themselves came out with a statement regarding the FTC's lawsuit. They said, Cognosphere, the distributor of Genshin Impact, has reached a settlement agreement with the United States Federal Trade Commission to strengthen and increase transparency around our parental consent and virtual currency practices. A statement from Cognosphere is below. Animation-style games and shows are well received by global audiences and players across various ages. Genshin Impact is a popular free-to-play anime-style game designed for older teens and adults. While we believe many of the FTC's allegations are inaccurate, we agreed to the settlement because we value the trust of our community and share a commitment to transparency for our players.
Yeah, but that was $20 million. They made that $20 million back within like a month or two. Yeah, we really care about the transparency for parents. Yes, chat.
the agreement,
Yeah.
we will introduce a new age gate and parental
Totally.
consent
You mean a
protections for
week?
children
Yeah,
and young
yeah.
teens and increase
A
our
week.
in-game disclosures around virtual currency and rewards for players in the US in the coming months. So in other words, the FTC's lawsuit's bullshit, but hey, listen, we can't be bothered to countersue. Take your $20 million, we'll make that back in a day. And yeah, I guess we'll change some things around in the game. Okay, this is as straightforward as it gets, guys. $20 million for
Let's
them is child's
go.
play. But this hasn't stopped people from comparing Hoya versus game mechanics to other games that are operating with no issues. For example, look at the odds that EA games give you for FIFA packs. When you open a premium gold pack, they say that it's a 4.2% chance to get a player gold 84 plus or higher in
What
terms
does
of
it even
stats.
mean? Does anybody know what the hell this means? Gold 84 plus? Is that like percentile or something?
What if I wanted a player that's like 94 or 96? What are the odds there? We don't know. Let's not
I don't
forget
even
that
know.
even Apex Legends, I know it's a dead game.
How good the player is? Oh my god, are you serious? Wait, so there's like an internal like gamba system inside of it? Like, so if you roll a Cristiano Ronaldo, you can get like a bad roll? Oh my god, that is so bad. What? That's even worse than I thought. I thought it was like a gamba system of like, oh, you Cristiano Ronaldo is like a 1 in 1,000 chance. Injured Ronaldo? He has like a busted leg. Sorry, you got off-season Ronaldo. Try again next year. That's so bad. I had no idea.
Still has
Oh my
loot boxes as well.
God.
And let's not pretend here that children don't use these. And let's not pretend that EA Games
Apex,
actually seeks parental
ew.
consent. This is why many people have shared the opinion that the US government is actually using COPPA, weaponizing it in order to go
COPPA?
after companies they don't like, most notably Chinese companies like
Yo.
TikTok and Hoyaverse.
Yo, I'll admit, I actually do think there's an absolute bias towards them. Yeah, I totally agree. I think there is a genuine bias for foreign countries. This doesn't make any sense. Why does EA get away with it? Why does Steam get away with being a gambling game? Like, what's the rating on CSGO? ESRB rating CSGO. 17 years old. Okay, I guess I can't make the same defense for them then. ESRB rating of M? Or is it set as 17? 16 plus M for mature. Okay, at least there's that defense, but still, it's not... I don't know, it's definitely not great. TF2 is T? Yeah, gambling for hats in TF2 was a big thing, and they have crates as well, you're right. Yeah, Steam's like not innocent of this shit either.
But how will this affect Genshin Impact and other Hoyaverse games? Well, as a start, you're probably going to have an option to immediately buy Fates instead of Genesis Crystals, to then convert them to Primogems, and then buy Fates with them. There's probably going to be an
so
option that's like,
predatory.
yo, buy 20 pulls for this much, buy 30 pulls for this
Diablo Immortal did this as well.
much, among other little changes. So in some ways, yes, this only serves to benefit the consumer. The consumer is not losing anything here. But the question is this, now that we know that the FTC has been working on this complaint for years, who else are they targeting? There are other gacha games out there that compete with Genshin Impact directly, like Wuthering Waves. It's also a Chinese game, but a $20 million fine will severely impact their cash flow. It won't just be a walk in the park like Hoyaverse. So will this stop here, or will it get worse? That's the question on everyone's minds. Look, one thing is for certain in the end, gacha loves American money. But let's see how far they'll comply with this. And let's see if the FTC will seek to go after other, more predatory video game companies in the future. For now, though, that's pretty much
No, China bad.
it. If you watched till the end, I love you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Mwah.
Mwah! What's that? 20 million? That's it? Chat, Maple Story got fined like $10 million and they make like, I don't know, I think the company that Maple Story owns makes like 2 billion a year or some shit. Yeah, Nexon. 9 million. Yeah, it was like basically pennies. And they were like, oh yeah? Yeah, what do we care about you finding us? And Maple's story was even more egregious.
Fire, 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 fire.